Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Joe and today I'm joined by Mark, aka the FPL General, to reveal his team for Game Week 16. We'll also look at his Game Week 15 score so far and find out how he plans to use his 3 free transfers. Will there be a change at the back or will his midfield get a makeover? Welcome Mark, how are you?
I'm very well, Joe. It's game week's coming thick and fast. Another good game week so far. We're recording on Monday, so I'm looking forward to the Monday night football as well with a couple more players to go. So things are going well, as you'll see. But I know things can change very quickly. But it's been a good few weeks.
Yeah, we both got shiny green arrows so far with 8 Nori and Cunha to go for both of us. So we should finish the week on a green arrow. We'll be very surprised if I don't. And you've gone up to 13k and we'll find out how you've achieved that so far. Just a reminder before we go on to do press that like button, does help us out. And do leave a 5-star review where you can. Also do subscribe. Keep up to date with all our latest videos and podcasts. Okay, we'll get straight in. We'll look at the score so far. So this is you on 81 points. Game week rank of 40,000. Must be the highest game week rank of the season so far.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I might have had one game week rank around 100k. So yeah, this is shaping up to definitely be the best one. And I think I've only had 7 players, possibly maybe 8. So yeah. It's not as if I had loads of options to get points. Going back to last week's video, we looked at Wood replacements, we looked at Mbumo replacements, Bruno Fernandes, possible routes out to get Isak, and in the end, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. Decision paralysis, and I always go by if in doubt, do nothing. And very often it is a good approach in FPL, and it proved to be that because all 3 players delivered. It was quite nice getting the Mbumo points in particular, because I think about 1 million people had sold them over the previous 2 game weeks. And, match of the day highlighted again just how good Brentford have been at home. I think they've got 22 points at home, 1 point away from home. So, Mbumo might still be an issue in the next couple of weeks with away fixtures, but very, very rewarding to get those points. Elsewhere, captain Cole Palmer. Like many others, I was going to captain Mohamed Salah before that game got postponed. So Palmer picked up the armband, which worked out well. Bruno Wood and Mbumo did the business. Nothing from Saka, but Saliba was a great transfer a few weeks ago. He was my Trent replacement. And again, I just kept it simple that week. Got a nailed on Arsenal defender with good fixtures. And I've got a few bonus points, with goals and stuff like that. And him getting bonus points when he hadn't done any previously as well. Goalkeeper still a weak point. I was hoping Gabriel would play. I had Greaves as a sub, who I also hoped would play. Ended up with neither. And I've got Chiwomi, who I don't think has got a single minute this season, but if he could make his debut on Monday night, it would top off the game week.
Yeah, you get at least 1 point there. Yeah, with the Liverpool-Everton game off on Saturday due to the storm and the high winds, that meant you and me and many other people were 2 to 3 players down already. Obviously keep Mo Salah, he's not going anywhere, but Mikalenko I could have done with just 1 point. So because I too have Greaves, so I've got Greaves coming in for Gabriel, so he's not coming in at all. So I've got nothing there. And you've got similar. You're actually relying on both of them there because you've got Chiwomi.
Yeah,
well.
Just on that as well. Going back to I decided I was going to keep all the midfielders and the forwards.
Yeah.
But when the Liverpool game was postponed, I did look at Mikalenko replacements, but I only had 0.1 in the bank. Yeah. So it was players like Lewis Hall and a couple of others that I didn't feel like they were worth the transfer. And at that point, I was hoping Gabriel and Greaves were going to be okay. So just held on to Mikalenko in the end.
That's the thing. We do need those players in our squads, and we've all got problems there. I've got Rico Lewis still in my squad, so that's a problem. But it's just using transfers on those players just seems like you're not really. You can get very, very lucky. Kirkes might get a goal, something like that. But you're gonna have to be very, very lucky. And you can see here. So you're 2 players down. You're fielding 9 players this week, and you've got probably the best game week of the season. So you only need 9 players. So that shows that we can probably just carry the Greaves and so forth on, and it's just not worth that transfer because you're just you're transferring out 0 points for 1 point or 2 points So it just shows that the transfers and the focus should be on the likes of Palmer, Saka. I mean, you went for Palmer, Saka, Salah before me, pretty quick. You highlighted that. I'm on that as well. I've just got that and some other blokes, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, again, the thought process was if I sell Mikalenko for someone like a Lewis Hall, I thought most of the 4.4 million defenders were most likely to get 2 points this week. So it's a case of do I want 2 points and two free transfers next week, or 0 points and three free
Yeah.
transfers? And I just value the transfer higher.
Yeah, and just before we move on to look at the fixtures, was something I posted up on social media earlier today. It was about double-digit hauls. Looking at because I was just thinking, obviously it's going for Saka, Salah, Palmer as your core, and ignoring Haaland. That has worked out phenomenally. But I just wanted to know sort of why just pure double-digit hauls. So since game week 9, Salah's had 5 double-digit hauls. That's huge. Palmer's had 3, and Saka's had 2. And Haaland's had none, and he's the most expensive of them all. And in fact, Haaland's last one was in game week 4. So going back, what were we talking about last week with game week 14 and this game week 18? Sorry, goes look as we sort of look at the fixtures. You had all sort of earmarked getting Haaland in for sort of game week 18, 19, but one of Salah, Palmer, Saka's probably got to go for that, and you're just swapping a really good player for a more expensive, worse player. Let's look at the fixtures. Are you still on that game week 18, 19? City's fixtures improve.
Not as much as I was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I think kind of you and others planted the seed last week about the others having such good fixtures, and I've been looking at that. As we mentioned last week, Palmer, Saka, Salah all have good fixtures around game week 18, 19, 20. They're all captainable in certain game weeks, and it's midfielders just have more routes to points. I always think a Saka, Palmer, or Saka can get a double-digit haul from one goal. Throw in a clean sheet and 2 bonus points. They're on 10, whereas Erling Haaland needs 2 attacking returns to get his double
Yeah.
digits. I know that's simplifying it, and it's not factoring in how good Erling Haaland is, and he can get hat tricks in any given game week. But I'm feeling quite comfortable on the midfielders at the moment, and I'm definitely more open now to not getting Haaland back in
Yeah.
game week 18 and just kind of sticking to a similar strategy, because what it will allow me to do over the next couple of weeks is the 3 free transfers I have, they can be used aggressively rather than stockpiling them for Erling Haaland. So
Yeah.
I don't want to rip my team up too much when it's performing very well for one player.
Yeah, I think he might come down in price as well. So he's for the first time this season, he's going to be below 15 million, which is absolutely huge for a player like him. Yeah, I'm looking at that. I mean, it's just in cold hard points. Focus on those 3 midfielders, and you're okay. I'm true. I'm the same as you. With if Haaland, the only way I can foresee me getting Haaland back in at the expense of one of Saka, Palmer, and Salah is if one of them get injured. So if Salah's out, then that's an easy move. Same with Palmer, Saka as well. But I can't see them going anywhere because they look good. Even if Saka didn't do well, but he got a header that was just narrowly offside with VAR. And Arsenal's fixtures. So we've got the fixtures up on the screen. Chelsea are top from game week 16 through to 20. So these are the festive fixtures now. Brentford at home, brilliant. Everton away, brilliant. Fulham at home. That's probably the trickiest. Ipswich away, Crystal Palace away. These are all good fixtures. Arsenal, Everton at home, Crystal Palace, Ipswich, Brentford, Brighton. And Liverpool got Fulham at home. Then they got Tottenham away. And Tottenham defence is very leaky. Leicester at home, West Ham away, Manchester United at home. So obviously the Liverpool Manchester United game's good for Salah. Meanwhile, Man City got Manchester United and Aston Villa, and then Everton, Leicester, West Ham. So they've got the fixtures, but it's just in terms of the cost. I just can't see me removing any of those 3 big players. So. Yeah, I mean, it's the same this week. You were talking about game week 18, we've all got good fixtures. What about this week? Chelsea, do we captain Palmer at home to Brentford? Do we captain Saka at home to Everton? Do we captain Salah at home to Fulham? I mean, arguably, do you captain Haaland home to Manchester United? I would probably reject that. But I mean, who would you captain this week?
I think I've just left it on Cole Palmer for now, but I think as we get through the week after Champions League games, etc., it's very hard not to captain Mohamed Salah at the moment,
Yeah.
especially when it's a home fixture against Fulham. So a close call, and Saka's great in his own right this week as well. But I would say Salah 1, Palmer 2, Saka 3.
Yeah. It was quite. I'm talking about effective ownership because that can influence who you captain. With Salah out of the picture, actually around my rank, Palmer was 90% owned. So as a captain, I got 110% of Palmer's points, which was great, and Saka was 80% owned. So I didn't have any spies in my team. So that was quite good. But yeah, Salah's back next week. So yeah, bring on the spy. So one of them is going to be a spy, I reckon. Meanwhile, bad fixtures coming up. Everton, terrible. They've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City in the next three. Mikalenko's definitely staying on my bench. Leicester, Newcastle, Wolves, Liverpool, Man City and Aston Villa. But Jamie Vardy, I mean, I was almost crashed the car when I was driving yesterday, dreaming of my Verbruggen clean sheet points and a Brighton victory at Leicester, only for them to draw in the final 5 minutes. Manchester United have got Man City at home, Bournemouth, Wolves and Newcastle. So, yeah, we'll come to... You're potentially looking to replace Bruno Fernandes or considering it, but I'd be considering getting him in, to be honest, with Bournemouth, Wolves, Newcastle from game week 17 to 19. Meanwhile, West Ham's got a really good run of fixtures, but before they have Liverpool and Man City in game week 19 and 20. And Tottenham, I'm not sure what to make of them, but they've got Southampton, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, Wolves and Newcastle. So good fixtures on paper apart from that Liverpool game. But yeah, before we move on to some of the things you might be considering using your 3 free transfers on, what does the fixtures sort of tell you about teams or players you should be targeting?
Yeah, I think looking at the bottom of the ticker first, Mikalenko, like you said, I think I needed all of my substitutes in the most recent game week, but hopefully there's no more postponements and that doesn't happen again because I do not want Mikalenko coming anywhere near my starting 11, at least until game week 19. You mentioned Jamie Vardy, bad fixtures, but that guy, he's Benjamin Button. He still looks great. He's still got it, and it's actually been great to watch. He's been doing really well for me in a draft format, but he never really comes close to the FPL team. But we might end up regretting that when we look back in the season because he's been very consistent at a cheap price. Elsewhere, near the top of the ticker, Chelsea are top. I've got Cole Palmer. I do like Jackson, but I think I like Alexander Isak better, even though they're towards the middle of the fixture ticker. Arsenal are near the top. I've got my triple up already. We spoke about Bournemouth last week. They were top of the ticker when we looked last week. And this most recent game week summed it up for me. I said, I don't know who's the best option, Even Nielsen, Semenyo or Kluivert. You look at your live score app, 2 goals for Bournemouth, and then it's just none of them are involved. So they just spread the points around.
Yeah.
It's very hard to pinpoint who's going to get the points there. I still like Even Nielsen, but I'm not in a massive rush to get Bournemouth assets. Manchester City, good fixtures, but a very tricky season they're having. Okay. As Pep says, it's a season to suffer, and it's been a season to suffer if you own their FPL assets as well. What a roller coaster it was for Rico Lewis owners at the weekend. And then Liverpool make up the top 5 there. So Liverpool are probably most interesting to me because I've only got Mohamed Salah, and they're having a great season. They've got great fixtures, so maybe investing a bit more there would make sense.
Yeah, so we're going to look at midfielders in case Mark looking to move them on, and I think other people are thinking that as well. Defenders, it's most attacking defenders, and goalkeepers as well. And I'm personally, for my goalkeeper, I'm waiting for Alisson to get back. But at the moment, I'm going to stick with Verbruggen's 1 points every week. Once again, outscored by Flecken, incredibly. So
one of my favorite tweets of the season is from Hebo, and he shared it a few times. He said if something along the lines, if you play it perfectly and you rotate Flecken and Verbruggen, you might get 0 clean sheets for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think I'm on that. I'm following that strategy. Okay, let's have a look at midfielders. So I've done this by all matches, and I'm not including Saka, Palmer, and Salah. They're just, if you own them, they're not going anywhere. If you don't own them, you'll want them. So and it's well documented. You can just see it every week how good they are. There's no discussion there even. Minutes per expected goal involvement under 200 minutes. So they're getting a goal involvement every 200 minutes at least. They're going to have scored 3 goals So I've put some strict criteria here, and they've a minimum of 10 starts as well. So I've got a nice list here. Just I mean, I've highlighted Brian and Bomo and Fernandez. They're in this list. I'm keeping Mbomo because he's nailed on and he's still good. But you're possibly thinking of the fixtures and Bruno Fernandes as well. After this week, the fixtures are brilliant.
Yeah, I like the way you've put these tables together because what I found the last couple of weeks and why I'm sitting on three free transfers is somebody needs to make a really strong case for me to part ways with an Mbumo or a Fernandez or a Chris Wood like last week.
Yeah.
You know, Wood to Joe Pedro was tempting, but I didn't feel like it was an upgrade. And it was the same. I looked at Mbumo to Gordon or Bowen. Bowen hasn't played yet. I was concerned about Gordon because fatigue was mentioned by Eddie Howe, and that did play out the way that, you know, that could have backfired for me big time. And then Bruno Fernandes, he had a home game against Forest. I was confident he would play further forward, which he did, and he's never a bad asset. That's the thing about Mbumo, Bruno, and Chris Wood. They're all penalty takers. They all have routes to points. They all very often play 90 minutes, even though Bruno didn't at the weekend. And Wood doesn't always play 90 minutes, to be fair. But they're just steady eddies at this time of year, and it's really, really difficult to let them go. But I've got transfers building up, and I'm looking forward to reading through some of these names to see, is there someone who makes a strong enough case for me to let one of these guys go?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, with my view, just with that sort of strategy in mind, I can't see anyone in this list that is better than what you've got, Bumo and Fernandez. But some people, I've seen it as well, and a lot of people who've got rid of Mbomo already have obviously slightly biased in looking at the fixtures ahead, but they've got Chelsea away, Nottingham Forest at home, Brighton away, Arsenal at home, and then Southampton in game week 20 away. It's a mixed bag, but Brian Mbomo against Sanchez for Chelsea, that could be a goal. At home to Nottingham Forest, they're so good at home, even Nottingham Forest, they can ship goals there. Brighton away, that's, well, I'm biased, but that's a goal for Brian Mbomo. Arsenal at home, that's tough. Okay, that's tough. And then Southampton away, brilliant. So their away games are good. That's my view in there. So let's start with these names. We've got Maddison at the top. He's 7.6. Starts, he has got 12 starts out of 15 games so far, but he's not starting every game, obviously. And this is when he's fit. So sometimes when they're not starting because they're suspended, but he's fit and he's sitting there on the bench. And then, I mean, he came on in the 75th minute and set up a goal. So arguably, the manager needs to be playing Maddison a bit more. He's had 5 assists and 5 goals. I mean, I had to double check this, and I thought I might have the wrong Maddison. So Maddison has got 10 attacking returns, the highest minutes per expected goal involvement of anyone here. He's on 76 points. His baseline bonus is absolutely brilliant. He's had 17 shots inside the box, 13 on target. Yeah, it's blooming Ange is stopping me getting him. I'd just be getting this guy. He's just streets ahead of everyone.
Yeah, he'd be in every team if there was no, minutes concerns, and unfortunately there just is. We've seen it he didn't start the most recent game either. And just struggling to put him in the team because of the others who are performing well, Kulusevski, etc. And the system is maybe just not totally geared for a Madison type player at the moment. He's playing the kind of 2 defensive minded mids as well. So yeah, it's frustrating because, again, those numbers we would all have them, and we all know how good Madison can be when he gets 90 minutes very, very often in FPL. So he's an easy one to rule out though, because we just can't go there. You don't want a player who can get you 15 minutes.
No. And I was listening to a phone in, the 5 Live phone in after the Spurs match, and there was a lot of Spurs fans calling for the manager to go, saying he's not good enough. But that debate may rumble on for a while. The way he plays and attacks, he's got a lot of sort of credit in the bank. But yeah, I would like Maddison to play more because he looks great. Cliver at Bournemouth, minutes per expected goal involvement. This does include a lot of penalties, but nevertheless, he's on penalties for an attacking side. 5 goals and 2 assists for 5.5 million. I'd be tempted to go for him if I was to go for a Bournemouth asset just because he's on penalties. I think we spoke about him before, but 23 shots inside the box this season, 16 on target. I mean, these are pretty good. 18 chances created. These are pretty strong stats. Was 62 points as well. 5.5 Cliver. Yeah, I think he would be my top choice in that sort of price racket.
Yeah, again, I just think he just doesn't do enough for me to take an Mbumo out for
No.
him. For example, look at Mbumo's how many times he's played 90 minutes this season. Clivert has played 90 minutes once, and in the last two fixtures, it's 62 and 63. So just give me someone who plays 90
Yeah.
minutes, even if they don't take penalties, and I like them more than Clivert.
We've got two more Spurs players. So Spurs are really dominating here. They're so attacking. But once again, it's those starts. Now, Johnson, I think, is probably more reliable for a start with 13 than Son, who's got 11 starts. They're both attacking. Son's got 63 points, Johnson 71 minutes per expected goal involvement every 149 minutes or so. Johnson has 3 assists and 6 goals. That's 9 attacking returns. Son also 9 attacking returns, 5 assists, 4 goals. They are once again strong assets, but probably similar to Maddison. I look at the team sheet. I don't know whether they're going to start, and therefore are they better than Brian and Bomo and Fernandes? No.
Yeah, that's the issue. I sold Brennan Johnson 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I'm very open to going back there if I feel like it's the right thing to do. He's probably one of the most likely ones on this list to come into my team in the near future. Yeah, I think his minutes are pretty safe, and so we have seen it with Sonny. He can be benched from time to time, and if you have the trio of Salah, Saka, Palmer, you are not going to be able to afford Son as well. You're going to have too much money in midfield then, and you don't want to pay 9.8 for a player who's not 100% sure to play every single fixture. So I much prefer Brennan Johnson over Son. I think he could even be a better asset anyway, even if they were the same price.
Yeah.
I'd probably still pick Johnson. So yeah, I'm just out on Tottenham at the moment.
Yeah. So Johnson. Now, when I got rid of Johnson as well, I haven't really missed him. Because even if he scores, I'm not that worried because he, as you see, his minutes per baseline bonus is every 11.7 minutes, which is double the likes of Son or Maddison. So you're looking at sort of, and they're always going to concede as well. So
7-pointers.
You're looking at 7 points tops. So he might get booked, so 6 points. So you're not looking at 8, 9, 10 points every week for him. So yeah, I'm happy to sort of wait on him. Gordon's next. I think he's a strong candidate, but I think Isak's probably the one to get for Newcastle. 55 points. He's had 5 attacking returns, 18 shots inside the box. His baseline bonus is fairly strong at 7.2, not as good as some of the others. But once again, he's just not as good as Mbomo or Fernandes, I don't think.
Not as good as an asset, but fixtures are probably better. So I was interested in Gordon last week, didn't do it, and he's probably more attractive now. He's had his rest,
Yeah.
and he's got a trickier fixture out of the way. Leicester at home is obviously fantastic. Ipswich away is fine as well. Villa at home I like as a fixture for attackers this season also. So the next 3 I really like for Newcastle. Isak will be the priority for most people and myself, but if I decide that I don't want to sell Cunha or Chris Wood, and if I want to stick with a 3-5-2 formation, then Gordon's very attractive.
Yeah.
But again, like so often this season, I weighed up my head: is Mbumo to Gordon worth a transfer, or would I be better having 4 free transfers? I'm going to end up with 5 free transfers the way things are going. But I will be giving Gordon a lot of thought this week because I really like the fact that he's had a rest.
Yeah. Madueke's next on the list as well. A lot of people are just ignoring him at the moment because people think they've got Palmer. But at 6.3 with 69 FPL points, that's just 2 fewer than Johnson. Minutes per expected goal involvement is pretty strong, around 150 minutes, 158 he is. Created 14 chances, 19 shots on target, 34 shots inside the box, which is the 3rd best on this list. These are strong, really, and I don't think a team can go wrong by getting him in that role. I mean, I'm not saying he's better. I don't think he's better than Brian Mbomo Fernandes. But if you've got a midfielder you want to remove, I don't think with Chelsea's run, Madueke, even if he doesn't start, he'll get significant minutes. Last 20 minutes or so. I don't think he's a bad option.
I don't think he's a terrible option because when he is on the pitch, he is probably one of those players where if you do only get 20, 25 from him, you've got quite a high chance of getting something
Yeah.
towards the end of the game. But I'm sounding like a broken record, especially in December with loads of games. Give me 90-minute men, give
Yeah.
me penalty
Yeah.
takers. And you look at Madueke last 3 game weeks, 4 minutes, 71 and 19. No thanks.
No. Last two, Semenyo and Bowen. Semenyo, I've gone a bit cold on. Just because, as you said about Bournemouth, who's going to get the points? It might be Semenyo, might not be. They've got so many different ones. Whereas with Brentford's, it's Wissa and Bomo Sade. That's it. Fernandez, well, basically with Manchester United, Fernandez is the one that you know is going to be on the team sheet. But Bowen, he's still got a match to go. So by the time you watch this, he might have scored a hat-trick against Wolves. Who knows? But he's 7.4. He's the one I'm intrigued by, definitely. His minutes per expected goal involvement every 190 minutes is not as strong as some of the others. He's got 7 attacking returns, 4 assists, 3 goals. He's had 21 shots inside the box. These are okay stats. He looks the best. He looks the most nailed on. Yeah, I still don't rule him out, but I personally don't know if I would remove Brian and Bomo for him, but I can see the temptation.
Yeah, I really like Bowen. I always have. And it does feel like, though, if you're going to get him, it needs to be now because fixture-wise, Bournemouth, Brighton, Southampton, great. But then Liverpool and Man City. So that, with each passing week, you get closer to that double tricky fixture back-to-back. So he's got his another audition Monday night, which I'm sure he will pass because he very often does, especially the eye test. I mean, the Leicester game, I think it was, last week, I watched it, having not brought him in for Mbeumo, and I felt fortunate because he had loads of chances and created loads of chances. And that's why I was close again to getting him last week. But Mbeumo's got his 13 now, so I can enjoy the Bowen performance as long as he doesn't get a 16-pointer. It'll have been a good decision not to get him. But again, certainly in my thoughts as a possible transfer in for those next 3 fixtures.
Okay, we'll move on to defenders in a sec, but I'll just read out this stat for about Semenyo, who I don't think either of us are considering getting in, especially not for Brian and Bomo. But he's got 40 shots inside the box, the most of any here, but 13 on target. And he has got 4 goals. He has got an assist. 5 attacking returns for 5.7 is strong. But yeah, I mean, you've said it all really with Bournemouth and attackers. Who's going to get the points for you? And it may or may not be him.
Yeah, just to sum up this table, if you take Mbeumo and Bruno out of it, every other player, a lot of these players I will say are good options, but none of them are in the top 5 options when it comes to FPL midfielders.
No, I don't think so. Okay, let's have a look at defenders now. I'll be doing more on this on my video because I've got Rico Lewis, I've got Mikalenko, I've got Nori who could get booked tonight. I've got Gabriel who may or may not play. I've got Greaves who may or may not play. That's all my defenders, isn't it? Yeah, so I've potentially got no defenders, or rather no defenders of worth for the next few game weeks. I've got 2 free transfers, so I might end up just getting two defenders in. So I'm looking at Bournemouth defenders, for saving money, perhaps Colwell, Hall from Newcastle. I'll be seeing if I can eke some money, maybe go up to a Timber or Saliba would be good. So I'm looking at, I definitely need defenders. So this is the bit I'm sort of interested in, but you are as well. You're looking at defenders to move. Top of the tree is Alexander Arnold. You've got 3 free transfers. You can probably do that. I mean, I could as well. Yeah, maybe not overthink it. We spoke about it last week about, going for like Netflix series, go for Breaking Bad, go for Wire. Don't mess around with like some rubbish thing that they've scrabbled together. Alexander Arnold's the best, 12 starts. He's got no goals. He's only got 3 assists, but his minutes per expected goal involvement every 242 minutes, which is 100 minutes better than anyone else on this. He's only had 1 shot inside the box. He's looked better of late, but I don't know whether that's been opposition dependent or the fact McAllister maybe has not been there. So I think McAllister's banned for the next game, so it could be strong for Alexander Arnold. But yeah, anyway, Alexander Arnold, he's probably the best, I think.
He is the obvious fix my defence issue for most FPL managers at the moment. I brought in Nuri 2 weeks ago, and I remember saying bringing eight Neri in, I hope this will be my last defensive transfer until the new year. And it definitely won't be because I'm like you. I've got Gabriel concerns. We don't really know what's happening there. And we might be forced to lose him, depending on what happens this week. We should get more information with a Champions League game. I've got Greaves, who we cannot rely on. And eight Neri, like you said, he's getting 0 pointers and he could be suspended soon. And then Mikalenko, terrible fixture. So I think it would make a lot of sense for me to use one of my frees to bring in at least one defender, if not more. And the luxury of having three is it makes players like Trent, maybe Guardiola options here. And I said when we looked at the fixture ticker that Liverpool was where I want to invest. I'm like you, I've kind of been waiting patiently for Alisson to come back. He's back in training this week, so it could be as soon as, this game week where we could go back there. I'd like to see him play Europe and then be confident that you can go there. And Trent, maybe I just use all three free transfers, free up money from somewhere, get Alisson and Trent to go with Saliba, and then things are looking pretty secure. And then it probably would be the last defensive transfer until the new year. So yeah, definitely interested here.
Yeah, the thing about Alexander-Arnold I like, as well as Alisson, is Liverpool have a double game week coming up. Game week 25 is likely. Game week 33 is a possibility as well. Goalkeepers in double game weeks are fantastic, especially if they're good ones. But Alexander-Arnold, I think, is a strong option there. Gvardiol was next. I like Man City's fixtures, but don't want to go for Haaland. So Gvardiol there. But I don't know whether he's going to play every game. There is still Pep Roulette, team dependent. Nevertheless, he's got 17 shots inside the box this season, created 18 chances. Minutes per baseline bonus strong. The minutes per baseline bonus is strong for all of these players. It's just the starts. I just don't. I would always be nervous looking at the team sheet. But Gvardiol, I think, in terms of goals, with his 3 goals, which is pretty strong, I think he is second best, literally on this table. But I think he's second best in my mind as well.
Yeah, he is a monster in the final third. He's been probably more threatening in some games than Erling Haaland has been in recent times, which says a lot. But I really like him, and I've been very close to getting him a few times this season. I remember regretting getting, I think it was when David Raya wasn't on the team bus or didn't travel to Bournemouth, the famous game week. I remember going Saliba over Gvardiol, and I regretted it because Gvardiol did well over that spell. I'm obviously a happy Saliba owner now. But I expect to own Gvardiol at some point this season, and he is what I'm going to look at. I always say to people, though, if you're looking for a new defender, you go to Arsenal first, and that is still the case. And I would put Trent above Gvardiol as well. So unless I make more than one defensive transfer, it would be Trent over Gvardiol for me.
Okay, Davis here. I mean, this is what you get. You get 36 chances created. You get 53 corners. You get him winning 14 fouls. You get outstanding minutes per baseline bonus. You get 4 shots inside the box. You get 1 goal, 2 assists. Not too bad, but you get 1 clean sheet out of the whole season. Bear in mind, Alexander-Arnold has 6. So that's what you get. That's him. That's why I'm not looking at him. Ordinarily, I would, but bread and butter of defenders is clean sheets, and he's got no prospect of them, I don't think.
It's frustrating because he's passed the eye test. He's a great player. He's got the numbers, but he literally is Alfie Doughty from last season.
Yeah.
A really good player who has lots of potential to get lots of FPL points. But if they concede more, 2 or more goals very often, it's not really worth it, because even if they do get an assist, which we've seen with Davis sometimes, it might only be a 4-pointer. Throwing a yellow card, he might even just get a 3-pointer off an assist. So, yeah, looks good, but there's a reason why he's not in many teams. And if he is in teams, he probably should be in a rotation rather than in a starting 11 every week. So, not in a rush to go there.
Rightio. Okay, I'm tempted to shut my dogs up, possibly through violence in a second, but I'm just going to mention the next player. Who I'm considering getting in. Now, he's new to me, so I don't even know how to pronounce him. Is it Hewson or Hewson? But the Bournemouth guy, he's 4.3. Really strong. He's had 4 starts, and he's had 4 shots inside the box. So he's having a shot inside the box every start. He's created 6 chances from his 4 starts. He's already got a goal. and a clean sheet, and his baseline bonus is strong. And so he's there to replace Senesi. Now, this is the quote from the manager on Senesi. It's a massive injury. We weren't sure if it was just a knock or big knock, but now we know it's a massive injury. So he's pretty keen on it being massive. It's quite significant. He will be out, probably be out for some time. So you're safe to get him in. And at 4.3, and the fact that he's fourth on this table, I think he's the one I'm going to get. Kirkez might be slightly safer, but Kirkez isn't hitting the stats on this to be on this table. But he is also a strong option, I think, Kirkez. But yeah, I mean, I've got Rico Lewis. I'm just tempted if I do one move, just Rico Lewis to this guy.
This kind of sums up fantasy football for me. It happens sometimes where you rewind back 2 weeks, nobody has ever heard of a player.
Yeah.
And then very quickly he can be in a lot of fantasy teams. And I think this guy has the potential at 4.3, playing for a good Bournemouth team. He's new to me as well, but I've seen a few people tweeting about his, historical numbers. And by all accounts, he is a very, very dangerous attacking defender when he's in the box with some good numbers from previous clubs, etc. So definitely one for the watch list. And if you're like us and you've got, players like Mikalenko that you don't want to rely on, or if Nuri gets booked on Monday night, certainly one to look at 4.3.
Yeah, the manager also says about him, he says, I think he has shown from the beginning that he can do this, but that was after he scored. He plays with confidence, and even though he's 19 years old, he has played a few games. But now with the injury to Marcos Senesi, he for sure will have to play more. So yeah, I'm very bullish and confident on him. Munoz, I have been mentioning in a number of videos for the last 2 or 3 weeks, whenever I do these tables as well. Very strong option, I think. And I've been talking about you can certainly rotate Crystal Palace players next to 2 or 3. And, he's at 4.7. He was in a lot of teams to start. We've spoken about him before. He's starting every match. He's had 15 shots inside the box, created 14 chances. He's definitely in a more attacking defensive role. He's had 3 clean sheets, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 attacking returns for a 4.7 defender. Now, his next fixture is Brighton away, and then he's got Arsenal at home, but then Bournemouth, Southampton and Chelsea. I think these are quite good fixtures that you can rotate with. I think if I had more defenders to rotate him, I would get him in, and he looks really. I did that 4 attacking returns for a 4.7 defender. That's huge.
Yeah, it's actually been quite frustrating to see him do the business recently, because he was in every single Game Week 1 draft for me. He never left my team all summer. And it just took him a while to get back to where he was at the end of last season. I think that was the case for Crystal Palace as a whole. They've been much better. They've been getting better results, and the team are performing better. And every time you watch Palace, Munoz is basically another striker. He's in the box an awful lot. Yeah. Even there's a lot of occasions where he's in the box or near it, and he doesn't get a pass, or it just breaks to someone else. So it's no surprise to see him getting on the score sheet. Took his goal well against Manchester City, and I think it was the game before that, or maybe 2 games back. There was a game where he had 3 big chances, I think, in one game. So he's as good as it gets when it comes to open play, attacking potential from a defender, and I really like him. I'd like to get him back, but again, it's probably more so if you can rotate him for the Arsenal game and the Chelsea game later as well. So again, I'm going to be looking at it this week.
Yeah, I hope to be in a position where I can get him in Game Week 18 as an enabler. Would be fantastic. Next one's Emerson at 4.4. Similar rationale, really. I think West Ham's fixtures are pretty good. Bournemouth, Brighton, and Southampton. Next 3 after they play Wolves. 4.4. There is that slight doubt about the starts and that's once again a bit like Ange Postecoglou. It's to down with the manager. I think Emerson should be starting every game. He's had 3 shots inside the box, 10 chances created, 3 clean sheets, a goal and an assist, and he's taken 14 corners as well for good measure. I think if I was wildcarding, I'd be very tempted as my to have 3 cheap ones, go for an Alexander Arnold, a Gabriel, and then Houston, Munoz, and Emerson. Just go with that.
Yeah, I mean, if that would be nice having three that you can pick one from every week. But again, most of us have a pretty messy back five at the moment, and getting an Emerson, it could backfire as well. You could
Yeah,
be getting rid of one dodgy asset for another one,
it's
and
just the
we all know
starts.
when he's on the pitch. Yeah, we all know he's on when on the pitch. He's a very decent option. Cresswell for years was great as a left back at West Ham, FPL wise, and Emerson's pretty similar with that left foot of his. But yeah, and again, it's they've been chopping changing goalkeeper this
Yeah.
season. There's not many clean sheets there, so nah, he's down the list.
Porro's next on the list, 5.6. Everyone's seen the way Spurs play. There's going to be no clean sheets there. He has got 3 clean sheets, though. So they are capable. But it's those 23 chances created, those 7 shots inside the box, those 2 goals, those 2 assists. That's the tempter with him. But I mean, especially after the weekend, I'm not going anywhere near the Tottenham defence.
Always like Porro across all fantasy formats for the just the sheer attack and threat. He's up there with the best. But I think you can get similar players for a million less that won't get you clean sheets, but have the attacking potential. Even a Leaf Davis, I'd probably rather save a million and get a Leaf
Yeah,
Davis type than a Pedro Porro type because money is needed for these midfielders,
yeah,
and even the likes of Jackson and Isak as well. And we're talking about Trent, Allison, so it's quite a luxury to have a 5.6 Pedro Porro.
yeah.
And again, Romero and Van de Ven injured again, so it's not a good time to get him.
We've got Robertson at Liverpool. I just think for 5.9, Robertson doesn't excite me. I don't know if I'm going to get. I mean, he's got 6 clean sheets, but no goals and no assists, and that I think for 5.9, and you're looking at the likes of Porro a little bit less, Alexander Arnold a little bit more, Van Dijk even a little bit more. Those Arsenal defenders as well. I just think Robertson's got to compete with Saliba and Gabriel, and he just can't anymore. I don't think.
Nah, he's not the Robertson of old when it comes to fantasy. He's still obviously a very good player. I think the gap between Trent and Robertson used to be very, very close, and there used to always be a debate, Robertson for plus 1 million or Trent, and it used to be arguably equal. And at certain times in seasons, Robertson was the better pick over Trent. But now, I don't think there is a competition there. I think Trent is the one you pay the extra for,
Yeah.
and you should get better minutes as well because Shimikas can come in from time to time,
Yeah.
especially in this busy spell. So yeah, Robertson's well down the list for me as well.
Gusto is a player I'm considering, but it's just those 10 starts. I don't know if he's going to start when he's going to be benched. He should play, but yeah, he's just got that 1 assist so far, 4.9. I just don't think he can. I think I actually get more excited by Hewson and Emerson and Munoz than I do by Gusto. I think.
Yeah, Gusto's he's not fantastic when he gets into the final third, so you're probably
Yeah.
not looking at too many attack returns. And with Gusto, I just don't think you go there when you can get Colwell for a little bit cheaper.
And the final 2 players, the 2 players that you own. So I'm just going to read out their stats. Really, you we'll come to Gabriel in a second, but Saliba and Gabriel, they both, pretty much start when they're fit and able to. Gabriel, 13 shots inside the box. Saliba's been stepping in with goals and those shots inside the box in Gabriel's absence. So Gabriel looks to be the man here when he's there. In terms of goals, Gabriel's got 3, got an assist. Saliba's got 2 goals. Saliba's been doing well, but it's Gabriel is the issue. So you and me both own Gabriel. What are you going to do if he doesn't play in Europe and you get the usual rubbish from Arteta saying we will see, or he's been training well and blah blah blah?
It's a tricky one because you want him when he's available, and as soon as he is back, you want him back. But if we go into another weekend, I do not want to be having 9 or 10 players again. So, and I think when I've got a few free transfers, I've got the luxury of making even a sideways move. And Timber is arguably at the moment as good as Gabriel, maybe even better. So it's probably a case of it would be quite a tricky decision. Do I just stick with double Arsenal defence or do I go to Trent? And who knows? I might even end up making 2 defensive transfers this week, and it would probably be Gabriel to Timber, and then finding a way to get Trent in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really hope we don't have to make a decision on Gabriel because I'd rather focus on other things.
Yep. Okay, let's move on to, because we've got going to be going for 3 quarters now, and we've still got your team reveal to go through. But what we'll do is we'll just quickly look at goalkeepers as well, because you've got Flecken, I've got Flecken and Verbruggen. Obviously, this is an absolute rubbish situation to be in. So what I've done here with best goalkeepers, I've just got 2 or 3 names here, and I've sorted by minutes per save, all matches. They've got to have at least a save every 30 minutes and at least 2 clean sheets. So Flecken's off. And Pope is the best, according to this. Minutes per save every 25 minutes. And he's got 3 clean sheets. Sanchez, personally don't like, but because of my Brighton bias there, but I think he's costing Chelsea clean sheets. But nevertheless, he has got 3 clean sheets, minutes per save every 27 minutes. Kepa at Bournemouth, I think, is intriguing. So apologies for the cost here. They've been rounded up. I should have put a decimal point in there, so it would be like 4.5 rather than 5. All of these are around this price here. Kepa at Bournemouth as well. Could be strong in terms of minutes per save, 2 clean sheets. Henderson at Crystal Palace, 3 clean sheets, minutes per save every 29 minutes. Verbruggen, clean sheets, 2 clean sheets. I don't know how. And obviously I haven't got any of those in my team, in my points. Minutes per save every 29 minutes, very strong as well. And Fabianski at West Ham. He's just around that 4 million, so 4.3 or 4.2, I think he is now, 4.1 even. And he's got a couple of clean sheets and his minutes per save every 29 minutes. So there's some all right options here, but I can just tell you're not interested in any of them. But, I mean, do you see them as the same as Flecken?
I wrote my letter to Santa yesterday, and I just asked for one thing: just give me a goalkeeper who can get a clean sheet. So we'll see what he brings. At least Flecken's being creative and getting assists now, so that's at
Yeah.
least a little bonus. Um, Still manages only to get 3 points, I think, somehow.
Yeah.
The goalkeepers it just feels like a season for a premium keeper because the others are all a bit rubbish, and I think if you can get to David Raya, you do it. And failing that, when Alisson's back, I think you just do it. We can't go to Ederson this season because Man City are struggling. And then everyone else, I just have, reasons not to go there. Pope, I don't really trust him defensively this season. Sanchez, I think Jorgensen at any time could come back in. Kepa, Bournemouth, don't really rate him as a goalkeeper. Henderson has been better in recent games. I was there in game week 1. It was a disaster. Verbruggen is not keeping clean sheets. Fabianski, Areola, no thanks. So yeah, every time I look at goalkeepers, I think just give me some money and I'll get a premium. So I think Alisson will end up in my team. The only other option then is if this week, for example, if we did have to sell Gabriel, I could work somehow to get Trent and David Raya. I could look at that as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not really looking at the cheaper guys at the moment.
No. Okay, there. Before anyone puts any comments in the chat about the cost, saying the cost is wrong, these, as I said, they haven't been. These have been rounded up or rounded down, so there's no decimal point in there. So apologies for the cost there, but I think most people are familiar with their price range there. Okay, let's move on to your team for next week and sort of sum this up. So you have got a lot of options. You've got a lot of good players you don't want to remove, but you've got players that you could remove, and you do have those weak links, say Flecken, I guess Nori, Mikalenko, Greaves, Chiwomi. There are some weak links around there. So do you want to just run through your team, who you're going to captain, and where your thinking is for those three free transfers?
Yeah, just for the benefit of the audio listeners, Flecken in goal, double Arsenal, Saliba, Gabriel, 8 Nuri, midfield 5, Salah, who currently has the armband. I said Palmer had the armband, but I must have switched it over before I sent the screenshot to Salah. Saka, Palmer, Bruno, who's away to Manchester City, and Brian Mbeumo, who's away to Chelsea. Up front, Cunha and Chris Wood, and then the bench is extremely weak. Greaves, Mikalenko, Chiwomi. So first of all, I'm very glad I've got a week to decide because I don't like rushing decisions, and I think that's a big factor in why I've ended up banking recently because I get to a deadline and I'm not sure what to do, so I just do nothing, and it's worked out quite well. but I'm pretty sure I'll be making at least one move this week. I think it makes sense. I probably should look at the goalkeeper this week because I've got the transfers. He's away to Chelsea. He's not getting more than 2 points, 3 points in that one. I would like Allison to play Champions League, and if he does, I think I'll probably go and get him. I would like to get Trent in defence somehow. Gabriel could be Trent. Gabriel could be Timber. And then midfield, again, it feels like last week that Bruno and Bumo and Chris Wood, I look at loads of alternatives and I'll just come back to I've got three good assets who take penalties, who get good minutes. I'm just going to keep them guys. So I think what I need to do is focus on the goalkeeper and focus on the defence and maybe even focus on the eighth attacker, Chiwomi, and maybe make him someone better to make the bench stronger. So maybe some sensible transfers than luxury transfers is the order of play.
Yeah, I think if Chiwomi, even if he became like a Delap or a Vardy, that you would still have a very strong first sub every week.
Yeah, and I think I'm lacking that at the moment.
Yeah, you say that, but we were very similar in the rankings about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And even though you've been thinking, oh, this bench is weak, by piling the money into the first 11, that's what's got the rank rise up, on the edge of the top 10k. Have you got any money in the bank, by the way?
A massive 0.1, I think it is.
Oh, okay, rightio. Yeah, so I mean, I agree with you. If you've got the option to sort out Flecken, that would be interesting. Nori could get a yellow, so he would be absent next week. I don't mind Nori in general, but I've had him for 2 weeks. He's got me nothing, like not even a point. So I'm quite happy to remove him. Would you remove him if he got his? I mean, you could move him down and you could free up 500,000.
Yeah, I don't know if I would remove him, but I think myself and yourself would be in trouble if he was suspended because Greaves and Mikolenko we can't play. So I think I'd be more likely to sell Mikolenko and just bench Nuri and have him back after suspension. But yeah, I'll definitely need to make a defensive move for a cheaper defender if that suspension occurs.
Yeah, I've got that issue as well. Yeah, so I mean, as I said, I could be going into this with no goalkeepers. Not ideal.
Before I forget as well, I should mention Alexander Isak I would like to get as well. There's a lot of players out there that I want, but it's not easy, especially in my team structure. I definitely need 2 transfers to get Alexander Isak.
Yeah.
And then it's a question of probably moving to 3-4-3 by losing Bruno is probably the easiest way to get Isak. And then I just compare Bruno and Isak, and I think it's quite similar long term. And I keep coming back to just sticking with what I've got.
Yeah, Isak would be good, but yeah, I mean, it's like I've got Jackson, not Isak, but Jackson had 3 shots. Maybe not as strong as Isak, but he's still got Brentford at home, Everton away, Fulham at home next, and then Ipswich and Crystal Palace. Seemingly nailed for the weekend Premier League games. So yeah, same reason. You're thinking of keeping Bruno Fernandes. It's just like, what is the upgrade there? It could be a big upgrade, but they seem pretty similar.
Yeah, and I've kind of been thinking about it the last couple of weeks, and it's probably something I've been good at over the years, has been maybe more patient than other managers. This game that we play, you think about it all week, but you only really make 1 or 2 decisions each weekend, a captain decision and a transfer decision, and you feel like you need to do something. And I think there's an edge to be gained by doing nothing when others are doing something. Now, of course, you can miss out on points if a bandwagon does well. But people were writing to me last week, 2 weeks ago, are you not afraid of not owning João Pedro? And my reply was, I would love to own João Pedro, but I've also got good players that can match João Pedro or outscore him.
Yeah.
So it's very, there's probably nothing more satisfying in FPL than when you do nothing. You get more points than others, and you have an extra transfer over them as well. Yeah. So just something for people to think about as well.
Definitely. Wise words there. Well, good luck with your decisions. Good luck for both of us with Nori and Cunha, who are ready to go tonight. So we're recording this before that Wolves, El Sacchio, or whatever they're calling it, Wolves and West Ham's game. But yeah, good luck with that. Good luck everyone watching and listening. And we'll see you again next week. Mark, take care. See you soon.
Cheers all.